Tuesday morning, World Cup camp, United States, a phone rings, and in that single moment, the most important football tournament on the planet stopped mattering. Didier Deschamps, the man who won the World Cup as a player, the man who won it again as a coach, the man who has led France for 14 years, received the news that his mother had passed away, and within hours, he was gone, not fired, not suspended, not controversially removed, just gone. A son who needed to go home. Let's go back to the beginning because this story is not just about one man leaving a football tournament. This is a story about a 57-year-old who already knew this was his last World Cup, who had already announced he was stepping down after this tournament, who was already carrying the weight of an ending. And then, on a Tuesday morning in America, had something far heavier placed on his shoulders. Deschamps took charge of France in 2012, 14 years ago. Think about how much football has changed in 14 years. Think about how many coaches have come and gone. Think about how many World Cups have been played, how many finals have been lost and won. And through all of it, through every controversy, every lineup decision, every painful penalty shootout, Didier Deschamps was there on that touchline, in that technical area, managing one of the most talented, most complicated squads in world football with a steadiness that very few coaches have ever matched. He won the World Cup in 2018 in Russia with a squad built around youth pace and ruthless organization. He took France to the final again in 2022 in Qatar, and they came within a penalty kick of winning it a second time, losing to Argentina in a shootout after one of the greatest World Cup finals ever played. And now he is here in 2026, his last tournament, his final chapter, already knowing that when the final whistle blows, wherever France's journey ends, he will walk away. He had already said goodbye in his own way, slowly. Then Tuesday morning arrived. Here's the part that should stop you, because the timing of this is almost unbearable to think about. France had just won their first two matches of this tournament, beat Senegal 3-1, beat Iraq 3-0. They are through to the knockout stage, playing some of the best football of any team in this World Cup. Mbappe scoring, Dembele creating, the squad clicking in a way that felt like something was genuinely building towards something enormous. And in the middle of all of that, his mother died. The French Football Federation confirmed the news on June 23rd. Deschamps received the tragic news that morning. He immediately sought permission from FFF President Philippe Diallo to leave. Diallo granted it without hesitation, compassionate leave, no questions, no conditions, because some things are simply more important than football. Assistant coach Guy Stephen will take over. He will lead France's training sessions. He will sit in that technical area for Friday's final group match against Norway in Boston. A match that Deschamps himself would have coached. A match in a World Cup he already knew would be his last. Think about what that means, not just for Deschamps personally, but for France, for the players who have worked under this man for years. Mbappe has known no other France coach in his senior international career. He made his senior debut in 2017 under Deschamps. Every cap, every tournament, every goal, all of it under the same manager. And now, in the middle of the most important month of their World Cup journey, that manager has had to leave. Now, here is something that makes this story even more layered, because Deschamps had already announced this World Cup was his last. He told the world he was stepping down. He had already begun the process of mentally and emotionally preparing for an ending he knew was coming. But endings are rarely clean, rarely simple, rarely exactly what we imagine them to be. He thought his ending would be defined by football, by tactics, by one last game, one last substitution, one last touchline walk. Instead, his last World Cup has been interrupted by something no tactical preparation can account for, by grief, by family, by the reality that even the most celebrated football coach in French history is, first and most fundamentally, a son. If this kind of coverage, the full human story behind the headlines, is what you have been looking for, subscribe right now. Because this World Cup is not just about goals and results, it is about the people carrying impossible waits while the world watches. Here is where the football question becomes uncomfortable because France still have to play Norway. And Norway have won both of their matches too. This is not a meaningless game. This is a match between two unbeaten teams with knockout stage positioning potentially at stake. And France will play it without their head coach. Guy Stefan is experienced. He has been Deschamps' assistant for years. He knows this squad. He knows the system. He is not walking into chaos. But there is a difference, and every player and every football fan knows there is a difference between a head coach who has built something over 14 years and his trusted assistant stepping in for a single match. What happens to a dressing room when something like this occurs? When the man in charge of everything suddenly has to leave for the most human of reasons? There is grief in that camp right now, mixed with the pressure of a World Cup, mixed with the knowledge that their coach is on a plane home for his mother's funeral while they prepare for a match that matters. And honestly, the football almost feels secondary. Almost. Because France are good enough to win without Deschamps on the touchline for one match. The squad has that quality. Stefan has that trust. Norway are formidable, but France have Mbappe. And when France have Mbappe at his best, the tactical details matter less than they would for almost any other team on earth. But here is what nobody can replace. Here is what Guy Stefan cannot provide, no matter how experienced or prepared he is. The specific relationship between Deschamps and these players. The 14 years of trust, the World Cup winners' medal they share, the shared memory of Qatar 2022 and how close they came. That is not something that transfers to an assistant at 48 hours' notice. And so France will walk out against Norway in Boston on Friday evening, knowing something that no other team at this World Cup knows, that their coach is at home, that the man who built this tournament run for them is sitting in France attending a funeral instead of sitting in a technical area watching them play. So here is the question: does grief make a team stronger or weaker? History suggests it can go either way. Some squads rally around a moment of collective pain and produce something extraordinary. Others find the emotional weight too heavy to carry onto the pitch, which France shows up against Norway. And what does Deschamps deserve from them in return for 14 years of everything he gave? Is a question only Friday evening will answer. And through all of it, through the goals and the results and the knockout stage to come, one man will be thinking about something much more important than football. You tell me. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.